Hello and good morning or good evening or whatever. Today we're talking about Surya Namaskara B, Sun Salutations B. So, whereas A, we were trying to get the yuck out of our body and starting to move our bodies, B really starts to create internal heat and really tells your body, all right, we're doing this. We're getting nice and sweaty and warming up, all right? For Ashtanga Yoga, you do 5 Surya Namaskara A's and then you do 5 Surya Namaskara B when you start out. So your practice after this lesson will be 5A, 5B, plus the closing. And you'll do that until you can complete them without taking a break. You'll do that when you learn the mechanics of it, and you'll do that when you've gotten it right. And if you don't understand what gotten it right means, go back to, Meet Andy video, and I talk about it there. But we do 5 and 5 until you learn the standing series, and then we drop it down to 5 and 3 because there's a lot that's going to happen. So I'm going to get into the demonstration. Then we'll do the mechanics. Then we will do the modifications for those of you who would like to take it up a notch or take it down a notch. And so let's get into the demonstration of Surya Namaskara B.
All right, so let's get into this. We're going to start out in Samastitihi like we have been doing, okay? Now we're going to inhale, come to chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bring the head up. Exhale, step back and lower down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a step forward with the right leg. Inhale to come up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back and lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step with the left foot forward, arms up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back and lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to be here for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to walk back to the front of the mat on the next inhale. Right into your halfway lift, head up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees to come back into chair pose, arms up. Exhale, Samastitihi.
As you can see, there is a lot going on, but done correctly, you effectively work every muscle in the body, or mostly anyways. And so with that, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the mechanics of what's going on with your legs, what's going on with your hips, the arms, and all of that fun stuff, okay?
So, today we are doing Surya Namaskara B, Sun Salutations B. Now, for Sun Salutations A, we found that we started getting the body moving, we started to stretch out the back of the body. For Surya Namaskara A, you're going to find that this really is like a step up from Surya Namaskara A, or B is a step up from A. You know what I mean. And this is, if done correctly, you'll find that it stretches 90% of the body already. So even my teacher says that a full practice is doing A, B, and then the 3 final postures. And you could pretty much just do that the rest of your life and have a full yoga practice. So today what we're going to do is we're going to break it down and really show you the components of Surya Namaskara B. What we're not going to do in this video is we're not going to duplicate the information that was in A. So a lot of these movements are exactly the same as A with some different movements. So we're going to talk about those different movements. We're going to talk about the mechanics of those. And then in the next video, we'll just incorporate that into our practice. So let's go ahead and look at the Surya Namaskara B. So we started in Samastitihi, and then automatically we bend our knees, we forward fold, and that is how we start. Okay, so instead of just inhaling the arms up, this time what we're doing is we're coming into a modified chair pose. So this modified chair pose, as you can see, is not as deep as I can bend my knees. However, in order to maintain a straight back, we're going to be a little bit less bent, okay? What I want is for my arms to be heading straight up to the ceiling like we did in the first, in Surya Namaskara A, but we're bending the knees into chair pose, which again, this is different than what you would see in a normal, in a regular vinyasa class. However, we do this, as our practice to start with. It's the same, but it's different, okay? So in here, we're wrapping the arms around like we did lifting the arms up for A, but this time our tailbone is going to be curling down. So we're trying to really flatten our back out as much as we can. So we've got that dual action happening again, okay? So we're pressing our feet into the mat and we're lifting our arms up, trying to flatten the back as much as we can, but there's still a natural curve to it, okay? So don't expect that your back is going to be perfectly straight, but that is the action, is that you're trying to straighten it out as much as you can. So you're trying to tuck your tailbone down while you're simultaneously lifting your arms up. Okay, your knees are going to be pressing in together. You're trying to compact your hip, and you'll notice that my feet are together, the toes, the heels, the ankles, all of it pressed together, okay? So that's very important too. So with that, that is on the inhale. Next, it's the same. You exhale and you forward fold and you try to straighten your legs as much as you can, the same as before. And then the transition to downward facing dog is the same. Inhale, head up, exhale, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So now we're going to take a big step forward with our right leg, okay? Two things to note. The first thing is that my back foot came down so that my heel came in, all right? The second thing to note is that my hands have not left the mat yet, okay? What you're going to notice is that my hands need to press in so that my back can curve so that I can get my leg as far forward as possible. So let's watch that again. Okay. So I curve my back, I drop my heel, okay? And then I'm starting to come up. But I still want to talk about this. Okay, so boom. All right, I came forward, then I drop my heel. Some people like to drop their heel first because it'll open up the hips a little bit, which will allow you to get your leg forward, get it forward more. So play around with it, see what feels good to you. I tend to bring my leg forward so that I'm not reliant on my back foot being able to propel me forward. It's a little bit of extra challenge, not necessary. You can drop your heel, open the hips, and come forward, okay? So again, my hand's still on the floor. Then we're coming up into a warrior pose. Okay, so this warrior pose, let's talk about this for a little bit, okay? You'll notice that my back foot is pointed straight out. There is no 45-degree angle. It is pointed straight out. We want these hips open, okay? The second thing you're going to notice is that my hands, again, press together, pulling up to the ceiling. And again, this is another one where you're going to try to tuck your tailbone under and lift at the same time, trying to flatten the back out as much as possible. But again, it's not something that is going to be like possible unless you're super super duper flexible and you could do that. But it's not necessary. That's just the action that you want. Okay? The next thing that you're going to see is that my knee is bent so that my knee doesn't come past my foot. And it's in the direction of my foot. Okay, so my front foot is facing forward. My knee is bent. So if I were to look down at my knee, right in this posture, if I tilted my head down and looked down at my knee, I could probably see my toes and my knees aligned. Okay, so now, if you cannot see your foot, you need to walk either the foot back a little bit or walk the front foot a little bit. I tend to like to walk the back foot back because it just makes it a little bit easier. Then when you see your toes, your knee is probably going to be directly above your ankle, which is what you want. Okay? Now, another thing that you want to make sure is that your back foot, it's pointed out, but the back edge of your foot is pressing down into the mat. That's very, very important. Okay, so you have the back foot pressing down, you have the front foot pressing down, and so both legs are equally active. Then you're going to press those down, you're going to tuck your tailbone under, and you're going to reach your arms up, okay? That is the warrior pose. Now, I'm going to come back to our downward facing dog, okay? Okay, so here we are, downward facing dog. That was on the exhale. This entire action happens on an inhale, all of this. Inhale, 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 in, and then exhale, 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 all the way down. Okay, so that is a big motion. So as I've stated before a few times, this is where the regulating of the breath comes into play, okay? Now, for a lot of people who are new, doing that in one breath is difficult. So you can take an extra breath, no problem. But understand that that action is supposed to be just on an inhale. So let's take it back, okay? See that again. Okay, so here we are, downward facing dog. Inhale. And exhale to hands down, step back, lower down. Okay, so the breath is very important here. So let's start from the beginning again, and let's just show you what the breath count is up until that point. So we are going to inhale, sit down. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, step back and lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to come up, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, lower down. Okay, so far that's where we're at. But let's talk about how do we get back from where we were, right? So here we are, hands are coming up. Now our hands are going to come down and they're going to place one on each side of the foot. Okay, so one hand's on the outside of the foot, one hand's on the inside. You're going to take a step back and come to a plank pose and then lower all the way down. Okay, so we've seen this sequence again. It's upward facing dog, exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, so we did a vinyasa when we first came down from our chair pose. Then we did another vinyasa after the right leg step forward warrior. And now we're going to do the left leg step forward warrior. Okay, so this is going to be the same thing on the second side. So we're going to inhale, step that forward, arms up. Exhale, hands to the mat on each side, step back, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, so that was the sequence. Let's start from the beginning just to sort of punctuate this inhalation and exhalation, okay? So, feet are together, they're pressing down on the mat, hands by your side, shoulders rolling back. We're in Samastitihi, the call to attention. We're in Tadasana, mountain pose, right? So, we're going to begin by inhaling, coming to chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, step back and lower down to chaturanga. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Okay, right foot step forward, left heel comes down, arms up. Exhale, hands down, step back, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left side. Inhale, step forward, arms up. Exhale, hands down, step back, and come to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So now we're in downward facing dog. We know the mechanics of downward facing dog. We're here for 5 breaths. We're going to enjoy our 5 breaths. Again, if you need a break because of all the chaturangas, you come down to your knees and you do a child's pose. After 4 breaths, you're going to come back and prepare. So you'll walk forward, inhale, head up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, come back to chair pose. So now, again, we're coming out of this just as we came in. So now we're going to bend those knees and come all the way up. And again, we're in chair pose, but this is not the deepest chair pose that I can do. If I sat down any further, my body would begin to tilt forward and my arms would not be all the way up to the ceiling. So we're going to sacrifice the bend so that we could have a straighter top half of the body, if that makes any sense, okay? We're not trying to bend, because then all of a sudden the muscles of the back of the body are going to start pulling down and you're going to wind up leaning forward. So that's not what you want. You want to stay upright, okay? And inhale to come up and Samastitihi. Okay, let's go from the very beginning, okay? So on the inhale, we'll come to chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, step back to plank and lower down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Right foot comes forward this time. Inhale to come up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back and lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg this time. Take a step forward, arms up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Take a step back and lower down. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Again, this is 5 breaths here. Pressing your hands into the mat, driving those heels down. Really taking the time to absorb what you're doing. Nose, your chin is tucked to your chest. And you're going to inhale, walk up and look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, arms up, chair pose. Exhale, Samastitihi. All right, so in the Ashtanga practice, when you're beginning to learn and you're beginning to get strong and flexible and learn the mechanics, you do 5 Surya Namaskara A and you do 5 Surya Namaskara Bs, okay? So this is really where you're going to start to get that upper body strength because you're doing pretty much like 15 push-ups here. So it's really important that you not be out of breath. It's important that you are treating your wrists, shoulders, and your ankles right. It's very important that you follow the breath in this sequence, okay? So those are the things that are very important. Now, if you have to take a breath in between, or if you have to come down to child's pose, understand that you still need to build up tolerance, that you still need to work on your stamina. That you still need to work on your stamina. So try to get this down, work on this for a little while. If you do this every day, I promise you that it's going to get a lot easier. It's going to get a lot you're going to get more benefit out of it once you start to get comfortable. In the next video, we're going to talk about what some of the modifications for these are. But I wanted you to really get into see exactly what the breath was, what the breath count was for each of these, okay? So that's the instruction video for today.
Now, while that is super great, let's talk about some of the ways that we can modify. So I'm going to show 3 different modifications. The first modification is for those who are not jumping back and are coming down to their knees to do chaturanga. We are going to show a modification for those who do not even want to bear any weight on their wrists, their shoulders, their hands. And then we're going to do a modification for those who would like to take it up a notch and really create some internal heat in there. Although, it's really not a lot that you can do to up the ante for this because it's already pretty intense. But we're going to attempt it anyway. So there you go.
We're going to jump right in for our first modification. We're going to inhale, bend the knees, come down to chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, hands to the mat, walk back, come down to your knees, and lower down to chaturanga. Come up to cobra, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, come to child's pose. Right leg comes forward and you're still on your knee, point your toes, arms up. Exhale, hands down to the mat, kick the leg back, and come to the floor. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, child's pose. The left leg comes forward, the arms come up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Come down all the way to chaturanga. Come up to cobra on the inhale, and exhale, come to child's pose. So if you notice, we did not even leave the floor. My knees stayed on the mat the entire time. And now we're going to sort of straighten them back. If we come any closer, you'll see my hips over my knees. That's going to open up the back a little bit more. We're going to come up to the front of the mat, head up, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, arms up. Exhale, Samastitihi. This is for those who aren't even coming down. Inhale to bend the knees, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up again. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand all the way up. And the left leg steps back and the arm comes up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to stand all the way up. The right leg steps back, left knee bends. Inhale, come forward, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, forward fold. And we're going to cross our arms and we're just going to hang for 5. So the left leg comes back because you want the right leg forward first. You'll notice in the other ones that the first side is right leg comes forward. So this time you kind of have to work it backwards and bring the left leg back. So we're almost at about 5 here. We'll inhale the head up and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees to come up to chair pose. Exhale, Samastitihi. And this time we're going to make it energetic. All right, inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale the head up. Exhale, jump back and lower to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, flip over those toes, downward facing dog. Right leg forward, arms come up. Exhale, forward. Hand down, come down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Flip both feet. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left side. Arms come up, press them together. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog and flip and downward facing dog. So we're here for 5. And that flip comes straight from the belly. It's a hop. It's flipping over both feet simultaneously, and it's really energetic. It's a lot of fun to do once you get the hang of it. So now we're almost at about 5 again. On the inhale, we'll hop forward, head up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, arms up. Exhale, Samastitihi.
Well, that is all for Surya Namaskara B. So we're gonna go over to our practice video. And in the practice video, as I mentioned, we're gonna do 5A, 5B, and we're gonna close out, and you'll have your little Shavasana time. But what I do want to say is that moving forward, I'm not going to be modifying anything previous to what I've taught you. So today I will not be modifying Surya Namaskara A. You should already know what works for you. You should already know how to incorporate that into the count of the exercise. But B, I will do a couple without any modifications, and then I'll do the other 3 with the modifications. So just do the video, keep doing it, incorporate this new lesson into your practice, and have fun with it. That's number 1, have a lot of fun with it. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Love you guys.